a big part of that decision.
The YouGov survey for The Points Guy found that airline safety and flexibility beat cost when it comes to holiday travel this year. Melanie Lieberman is with The Points Guy and says while the majority of travelers will stick to driving, some plan to fly, with COVID-19 safety top of mind.
Strict mask compliance was a top priority, and other travelers were concerned about having that extra space, having that empty middle seat.
She says 38% say it will be their first trip since the pandemic began.
This is not the air travel experience you remember from holidays past. Everything's going to look and feel really different.
The survey found that we're more than twice as likely to drive than fly to our holiday destination. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
The British government says a new national lockdown in England may have to be extended beyond the planned 4 weeks if coronavirus infection rates don't decline quickly enough. Under the restrictions set to begin Thursday, bars and restaurants can only offer takeout, non-essential shops must close, and people must remain at home except for exercise and essential tasks. Hairdressers, gyms, golf courses, swimming pools, and bowling alleys also have to shut. I'm Joe Chiaro, Fox News.
If you're looking for work, it's a process of elimination, and you're trying not to be eliminated. So here's a tip for making the cut, and this might seem subtle, but to the person interviewing you, it's not. There is a world of difference between applicants who convey, "I need a job," and those who simply ooze, "I want to work," especially in these lean times when many you're competing with will seem desperate in "I'll take anything" mode. If you convey specific interest in this job at this company, you will be conspicuous. Thus, the value of going to school on the company you're applying to before the interview. With money and attention so tight now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Shortly after having sexual intercourse with a prostitute earlier this afternoon, local man Jacob Reynolds told reporters that he never expected the experience would bring him to new heights of emotional and spiritual fulfillment.
I was convinced that having sex with a complete stranger behind my wife's back would leave me feeling drained and empty on the inside, but my self-esteem is through the roof.
Reynolds, who said he paid $150 for a 30-minute block of time, said that his moderate expectations for the encounter were instantly surpassed by what turned out to be a deeply personal sexual communion that transported him to a new plane of emotional intimacy.
I've never felt a stronger sense of spiritual connection. When our bodies met, there was an immediate sense of familiarity and comfort that just washed over me. I think it was the most meaningful experience of my life.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Who let this guy in here? Why am I here on a Sunday?
It's the Halloween hangover edition.
What we've done is we've took Mark and Ian and thrown them out of the studio tonight so that it could be myself, the captain,
Beagless Mountaineer, and Richie Rich.
And we are here tonight on this Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number, of course, is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE as in freedom. And if you would like to join us, please give us a call. We'll get you on the air and talk about, well, whatever you want. You could take control. We have some things on deck that we would like to talk about, including I brought in some prep today that I wanted to talk about on Saturday, actually, that we didn't get to. But there's a hidden crisis, and that is elderly people are dying from isolation as a result of the government lockdowns due to what they call the COVID-19 coronavirus.
I mean, if we were going to be okay letting them die of coronavirus, isn't isolation just as bad?
I actually think it's worse, right? But we can get into that and talk about that. We also have some stuff that you guys brought in, including, can you guess who votes Trump or Biden based on the content of their refrigerator?
Saucy.
That's out of RT. We have something from Mises, How to Limit Social Media's Power Without Growing Government. I love the content over there at Mises Institute. Those guys put out some great stuff. And a bit of satire from the Babylon Bee. Richie Rich brought in the official Babylon Bee Voters Guide. This should be fun. So, and plus,
as we ramp into the Tuesday election,
Indeed.
You might want to know how Babylon Bee wants you to vote.
Indeed, and whether or not you should, for that matter, right?
I won't be. I won't be.
Okay. What about you? Are you voting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yep. For neither.
Well, let's kick things off straight away with a phone call. We have Kenneth in Colorado calling. Kenneth, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. Love the show. Been camping for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if any of you is aware of what Patrick Byrne has been up to lately.
I'm not familiar with the name.
No.
Fill us in.
Apparently, he's been working with people in the FBI over the last several years, literally doing battle with the deep state. And it's not a joking matter. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a real thing. I've put 3 links in the show prep to his website. And apparently, most of our worst fears are going down right now. And there are plans to conduct a violent coup during the election. Again, this sounds crazy, but it's apparently real.
Well, that's interesting because I have seen some things cross my feeds, my news feeds, my social media feeds, where many folks apparently are preparing for some sort of social unrest during the election or at the result of the election announcement anyway, whether it's the right or the left who are going to be upset about, oh, my guy didn't win or whatever. There appear to be many people preparing for something. So is this sort of what you're alluding to?
I think it would be unwise to not be prepared for something at this point.
Essentially, this is not just a bunch of nuts that don't... Hello?
Yep.
Hi, we're here.
Oh, okay. I'm watching the feed, and we're not in sync, of course.
Don't watch the feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen with your ears, not your eyes.
Just a bunch of nuts that don't know what they're doing. Apparently, they have help from the deep state. And this is from Patrick Byrne himself. I know he comes across as quite unusual, but I'm ready to believe him after spending the weekend reading material going back a couple months. Basically, he had a gentleman's agreement with people in the FBI to stay quiet because they were going to do something about it, and they haven't done something about it.
So when you say they're getting help from the deep state, is this like the pallets of bricks that were strewn about riot areas that nobody knew where they came from? Like, here, rioters, have some bricks. A little bit of assistance.
What exactly do you mean they're getting help from the deep state? Can you...
I mean, we're talking about people like Comey and people like Brennan, I believe is the guy's name. So we're talking about the CIA and the FBI.
Assisting whom?
Pardon me?
Assisting whom?
Assisting various bureaucrats at every level in the government to recruit troublemakers.
Okay.
To what end?
To the end that essentially what they're... The bottom line is, and I'm not a Trump fan, the bottom line is that they've been planning to have their man in the White House, or woman as it were, in the White House for the last 15 years, and apparently they had stuff on Obama, and they've coerced Obama into helping them, and that's what all this weird Russiagate stuff and all this stuff is about. They were planning to do in Republicans for a long time because they thought apparently that they were the big threat at the time. Probably would be the same thing with the Democrats.
But they've got nothing on Trump. Trump train, choo-choo.
Well, this is the funny thing. Apparently, they don't have anything on Trump. I mean, there's plenty of things not to like about Trump, but that's beyond the discussion.
Well, I think the idea that there's no corruption that can be revealed on this guy is a little unbelievable.
Yeah,
well,
I would agree.
I believe he's a friend of the show, and for a good reason.
Who, Trump?
If you look at one of the links I gave you, where he goes into great detail about his history with the FBI.
Where did you put these links, Kenneth, so we can look them up?
You find that what he's done. I'm sorry.
Where did you place the links? You said in show prep. Where at?
I put them in the show prep on what's the name of the tool? Element.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Can you pick one of the websites and just say what the link is for people who are listening?
Involved here, it's deepcapture.com.
Deepcapture.com. Okay, just for folks who are listening, if they want to go look it up.
Yeah, his history with the FBI goes back 8 years, and it's actually over 8 years, and it's well documented. Goes back to the financial, the banking thing, and he was involved in that. And when I say well documented, I don't mean you can go and read about it. I'm saying it's all public. Okay, what happened? This gal they put in they helped this Russian spy. He helped this Russian spy get put in jail, and it turns out that was all for a ruse, so they could connect it to this Russian, Russiagate stuff. They've been planning to smear somebody with Russiagate since before Trump ran.
Interesting. All right. Well, Kenneth, we do appreciate the call. Thanks for letting us know, and we'll take a look at some of that stuff. And for our listeners, we'll make sure that we put that website where they can find it. Thanks.
The first link is videos, so I'm not going to watch those. While we're on there.
I do want to say that, nothing surprises me, right, when it comes to this election. My experience with the election process, or at least the bombardment of all things election during the election season, if you will, is that there's all sorts of incredible things that are said and all sorts of things that are revealed. Do I doubt that one side or the other side is funding something to try and discredit the other side? No, absolutely not. I believe fully that all of these things are happening, and as incredulous as they may sound, because this is a struggle for power.
Can you imagine the late-breaking scandal that's going to come out tomorrow? Right? Like what's the big one that's going to drop right before the election? Because I was talking to another buddy of mine. He's like, no, they ramp up scandals.
Well, this is a weird one though, because almost every other any other election, like there's a very specific time. Like you want this to drop for enough time for people to process whatever your information is, but not so much time that they've kind of gotten used to it and forgotten about it, because there's a very specific time. Okay, this particular Tuesday, that's when we need this to be digested and still important in people's minds. Now, this election, there's tens of thousands of people that had voted weeks ago.
Yeah.
We don't have the same timing issue that we usually do.
Yeah. Well, in fact, that timing issue sort of, I don't want to say backfired, but it had the potential to backfire on whatever things were being planned. Because if you vote early and then something comes out, you might want to change your mind before
People are already asking
election.
for that. Yeah. They're like, how do I change my vote? That's now a trending Google search.
Yeah, and what if you could change your vote whenever you wanted to? Wouldn't that be great?
You mean it's not like my credit card purchases?
Yeah. No, there's no cash back, bro. 855-450-3733 is our phone number if you want to join us. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Bitcoin tops 13,000 and breaks its own record for consecutive days above 10,000. Satoshi Nakamoto, if alive, enters the top 200 world's wealthiest people. DC International Monetary Fund Manager warns of major financial reset imminent. PayPal begins selling and accepting Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes mainstream. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
On a multidimensional probe, the Syskov Trans-Temporal Vehicle Clio discovers two entire universes have been annihilated in a massive time-traveling accident. Robert Kaminsky and his crew race home with the news, only to learn their own universe is next. To pull off the impossible, they'll have to embrace the unpalatable by placing their trust in the admin, Syskov's xenophobic sister universe, and the same people who tried to kill them all only months before. The Valkyrie Protocol by David Weber and Jacob Hollow. Available October 6th, wherever books are sold. Visit Bang Books at Bang.com for more.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
From New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Larry Correia comes the latest chapter in the epic military fantasy saga of The Forgotten Warrior, when the Grand Inquisitor perverts the law in his genocidal plot to kill every man, woman, and child in the untouchable cast. Only the traitor, Ashok Vadal, and the Sons of the Black Sword stand in his way. If it's war he wants, it is war he will get. Baen Books presents Destroyer of Worlds. Available September 1st, wherever books are sold. Visit MonsterHunterNation.com for more.
Free Talk Live.
Wait till you hear the least popular girl's name for 2004. We'll start with Rack. Crumpet.
Well, Crumpet's kind of funny.
Someone named their little girl Willie. Cannelloni. Cannelloni. Lasagna. Tasty.
And Biff.
Yeah, Biff. The
These
least
are girls'
popular name.
names?
the least popular name.
These
of
are all
2004.
made up, folks.
I
Do
don't
not
care.
believe this nonsense. This is not news.
I don't care. I haven't laughed this much all week. This may be my favorite. Rumpy Pumpy. Now, how could you think that one up? I mean, if you were faking this list, I could understand that you could fake Donald Duck or Scrooge or pork. But how do you think of Rumpy Pumpy?
Rumpy Pumpy.
RUMPEPUMPEE. Rumpy Pumpy.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is. Free Talk Live. Welcome back, everybody. The Sunday night edition. Tonight, we're changing things up. I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me in the studio, it's
Beakless Mountaineer
and Richie Rich.
And we were, in the previous segment, talking about some conspiracy theories of a potential violent coup. And we'll, provide you some more information in our social media links if you are on them, our Twitter and that sort of a thing. If you want to go check that stuff out. It's some interesting stuff. The articles that the caller shared with us weren't very article-y. There were a couple of videos and that kind of a thing, so we didn't want to dive too deep into that without reviewing all the information that's there. But
just on a surface look, it looks like he resigned from Overstock and came out with all of these very interesting claims about the FBI and the CIA and the Russians.
And there's no longer an overstock of firearms in the country.
Oh. Well, and for our listeners who don't know, Overstock.com was one of the first large internet retailers to take Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, for that matter. So there is some interest that we have here. We just don't know enough about the situation to speak intelligently. So we'll move on. I brought in some show prep tonight that I wanted to get to on Saturday. This is from NBCnews.com. The hidden COVID-19 health crisis. Elderly people are dying from isolation. The lockdowns and visitor restrictions meant to protect nursing home residents from the coronavirus can also threaten their lives. Now,
so either way, they're going to die.
We've all heard about if you're against the masks, you must want to kill grandma.
And if you want a haircut, you must want to kill grandma.
So apparently, if you support the lockdowns, the isolation, in and of itself can also kill grandma.
So everyone wants to kill grandma.
Yeah.
Well, and this is an interesting sort of Aristotelian mean of if you go too far in either direction, you have a problem. Because if you look at what happened in New York City, like they had the worst numbers on this. I mean, like the 10 most populated cities combined had better numbers than New York City because he was sending COVID patients into these nursing homes and withdrawing the ability to sue them for doing that.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, don't do that. On the other hand, like you have a lot of crazy stories about I couldn't see my husband, so I had to get a job at his nursing home.
I did see that story.
Yeah,
That's sad.
we covered that in one of the episodes of Free Talk Live, specifically that particular story.
So let's see what that leads to.
So this starts out, NBC News is a little fluffy with their stories. It's talking about Chester Pesky, age 98. He loved to sit in the lunchroom at Copperfield Hill and talk about other memory care residents, everything from the weather to history to his hometown of Minneapolis, 6 miles away, while he had Alzheimer's disease. Pesky still recognized his children when they came to the Robbinsdale, Minnesota facility for weekly visits. He would talk and talk and talk, Roberg said with a laugh. Then in March, there was almost no one that Pesky could talk to. When the pandemic hit, long-term care facilities across the country, including Copperfield Hill, shut their doors to visitors and largely kept residents in their rooms, suspending most group activities and communal meals to protect residents from COVID-19. Pesky was hard of hearing, so phone calls were a struggle. Roberg's only lifeline to her father was the staff of the facility, who reassured her that he was doing well.
See, Captain, but if they had not done the lockdowns, he would have died in March or April. By doing the lockdowns, even though he's in isolation, he lived another 6 months, longer than he would have. The lockdowns kept him alive.
But is that living? The first sign of a problem came in mid-May when her father tested positive for COVID-19. Roberg prayed for his health, but was relieved when his case appeared to be asymptomatic. Then in late May, Roberg got another alarming call from the facility. It wasn't the virus, they said. Something else was wrong. His head was down into his chest, and he was sitting slumped into his wheelchair. Her father's aide said, according to Roberg, he was not perky, his normal chatty self. Roberg later learned that her father, who'd always had a healthy appetite, had been losing weight. I don't know how you lose weight in a elderly care home unless you're like working out and that kind of thing, right? You stop eating. Exactly.
That's the biggest part.
Even more isolated in quarantine after his COVID-19 diagnosis, he was becoming quiet and disengaged, even with the staff members who tended to him, a nurse later told her. He still had no coronavirus symptoms. He was just withdrawn, according to Roberg, an administrator at Copperfield Hill. Roberg was hopeful that he would bounce back with more hands-on attention from the facility, but 4 days later on June 2nd, she got another call. She needed to come right away. Her father was dying. That morning, Roberg flew in.
Broken heart.
Of isolation, right?
Well, it's an interesting thing because, I mean, the most vulnerable are obviously the very young, the very old, and the very sickly.
Right.
So now we know for a fact that if you have babies, that you don't look at them in their face and touch them, they die. They literally turn over, they face the wall and stop living.
Yep.
Like that is what happens to, and it's not like it's healthy for us. We just have so many cells in our body that they keep us alive even when we're not getting the social contact that we need.
Yep.
But yeah, when you have people that have, some difficulty staying alive, it's like cutting off blood to them.
Well, human beings as a species require interaction with other carbon-based life forms. Humans can survive, say, isolated in the wilderness, but generally they got to take on a pet of some kind, or they will die of isolation, of loneliness, of lack of touch, right? This has been proven by science repeatedly. So, I don't think I'm saying anything, out of the ordinary here, but it is required. And so when the coronavirus thing and the government lockdowns first occurred, I started thinking about something that I used to do as a kid. One of the families I lived with was very religious, and around the holidays, they would take us Christmas caroling to the elderly, the old folks' homes, right? You pick a day or go 2 days, during the holidays, and you go and you sing. And you could tell that this was the highlight of some of these people's possibly even year, to have a bunch of people show up and sing some Christmas carols to them, in front of their door, as they stood there and listened to you. And like, it would just, they'd be beaming with energy and light and, that kind of a thing. And so the first thing that occurred to me was, and I'm not a religious man now, right? So like, I don't care about the religious aspect of it, but that had an impact on those people. And so like, what's going to happen to these people now? They don't get that now, right? They're all locked down. You can't have a group of people come in and all start singing Christmas carolers in the old folks home.
Yeah, I mean, these people who most of the connections that they've made in their life aren't there anymore. So they really need these few morsels that they've been getting. And now that's illegal.
Well, okay.
Immoral, maybe.
Yeah.
They're clearly doing it.
Yeah. No. I'm saying it's illegal for you to, or near enough to illegal for you to have contact with these people that have so much difficulty having meaningful social lives at all.
Yeah. Continuing on, that morning, Roberg flew in from Wisconsin and met her brother in the parking lot of Copperfield Hill. Together, they walked into the entryway of the facility where they were temperature checked, and then they put on gowns, gloves, and face shields. A nurse finally brought them up to her father's floor and opened the door. "Oh, wait a minute," she said, stopping short. "I think he's gone."
Wow.
Roberg gasped when she saw her father's gaunt body lying on the bed. After 3 months of separation, she missed her only chance to see her father by minutes. 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number if you'd like to comment on the elderly dying of isolation here on Free Talk Live. We've got more coming up.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa!
Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, everybody, to Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, like freedom. And in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
And we've been talking about this article from NBC News that has started off talking about a gentleman named Chester Pesky, age 98, of the Copperfield Hill, well, we'll call it an old folks home for
retirement community,
who died, arguably of isolation, not of COVID, but as a result of the lockdowns and the fact that he could have almost zero human contact. His death certificate actually listed the cause of death as the progression of Alzheimer's disease and, quote, social isolation / failure to thrive related to COVID-19 restrictions.
That's awesome. That could set up like a lawsuit down the line if you can hold someone responsible for causing that isolation.
I would think so. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But I wanted to let you know that Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform over at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or even meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. That's local.bitcoin.com. We can talk more about this story from NBC News, but first, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Jerome calling from South Carolina. Jerome, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah.
Trump train, choo-choo.
Yeah, right. Trump train bite me. Hey, I just wanted to say, if this were a black Democrat, say like President Obama or maybe Kamala Harris that was president, with all this going on, 200,000 people dying, the economy tanking, calling people losers and suckers, saying I like to grab people by the grab and you know what, and when they kiss them and when you're a celebrity, they let you get away with it. I say, you think you could, the black community, we couldn't even show our face in public for supporting somebody like that, okay? You talk about
well, I mean, officially, according to Biden, you're not black if you don't vote for him. So, I mean, if you're supporting Trump, you're not black. Like, by definition, isn't he the expert?
If this was a black man or a black woman that was president, with all this going on, you couldn't show your face in public.
Would you not support them as a black man if they said those things? Would you have to come together and stick together?
Hell no.
So are you for voting as a group?
There's a lot of white people that support Trump after what he said, and he just keeps saying stuff like the doctors want people to die.
Jerome, why do you get so upset about whatever Trump says?
Because he's the president and he needs to go.
Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
So is it that you expect a higher caliber of character from a president?
You're damn right I do.
Why on earth would you do that? I mean, these people are the worst people on earth. They steal the most money from the most people. They murder the most people. Like, these are the worst of the worst. Why are you... The difference is that Trump is upfront about these things. They're all like this. He just says it.
That doesn't make it any less bad.
I can't wait for President Biden to challenge Kim Jong-un to a push-up contest.
Let me ask you
If I win the push-up contest, you have to
hold on.
deregulate your nukes.
Let Jerome ask his question. Go ahead, Jerome.
If you're a contest, you know what? No, you tell your I want to invest my money with you. And he says, well, I'm a thief and a liar, but I still want to invest my money with you. What kind of goofball is that?
Hey, Jerome, do you have high blood pressure?
Yeah.
So I would guarantee, I'd almost guarantee, I can't actually guarantee,
but I take my medicine every day, though.
I'd almost guarantee that if you just turned off the television for like a month or so and stopped watching anything related to politics, particularly around the election, that you would see a dramatic decrease in your blood pressure.
How could I turn off the television for a whole month?
Well, by
Come
making
on,
decisions for yourself.
There's
like
a power
grown-up.
button.
Sometimes you have to use a remote, but I mean...
You could unplug it from the wall, too.
I mean, I know this is a
No,
radical
it's not
treatment
happening.
option, but, you know, might be life-saving for you.
Thanks for the call tonight, Jerome. We do appreciate it. Jerome is certainly upset about Trump every day of the week, or at least every time he calls here.
Calls in on Wednesday.
But we do enjoy his calls. Thank you, Jerome. Circling back to this article from NBC News, again, the death certificate listed the cause of death as progression of Alzheimer's disease and social isolation / failure to thrive related to COVID-19 restrictions. And that is interesting from a legal perspective as far as like litigation and stuff.
That might be the
family
most interesting thing from a legal perspective.
Failure to thrive. Doesn't that just describe the entire world right now?
Well, right. With all of the restrictions, I really feel like everybody is failing to thrive. I believe that almost everybody's thrive level has been reduced by some form or another in some percentage, depending on what industry you work in or you do your business in, however you make your living and that kind of a thing. Everybody has been affected. I know I'm shopping a lot less. I'm buying less things. I'm going out to eat far less than I ever have before in my life. And so, you know, I can imagine that everybody else's life is impacted in some way with the reduction in their ability to thrive.
Well, okay, so you're probably right. However, those people that want to get ahead during this, right, are going to find a way to thrive in this environment. I forget the proper terminology, but I was listening to another personal development podcast, and they basically described something similar as post-traumatic growth, right? A similar event that happens to two people, and some people get buried down into it, and some people grow out of it. So what you need to figure out in your personal life is how can you grow, how can you thrive in this environment? Because imagine how far ahead you're going to be than everybody else on the other side of it.
Well, I wonder if you have any suggestions for all of the people who are losing their small businesses and losing their properties because their renters aren't paying rent and they can't kick them out. What would be your suggestion for how they could thrive in this situation?
Start a new business, make money on the side.
There are
Move
some
it to the underground.
I know of some people that have started new businesses since the COVID lockdowns, and the ones that are doing anything that looks like success are selling PPE. They're selling masks. They're selling face shields.
Those
they're
businesses
selling the gloves,
popped up right away.
You know, yeah. And I was just saying this the other day. I don't know if I said it on air, but the face masks have sort of, unfortunately for me, turned into the new T-shirt, right? Because now you have band logos.
It's a form of self-expression.
Yeah, it's a form of advertising now, right? So, like, when you do go to some place and you don't have a mask, they're like, oh, here, we'll give you one. It's got their brand on it.
Try it on before you buy it.
You know? Or I know that I saw a bunch of them on the social media for, like, I saw Iron Maiden face masks. I saw Metallica, you know, for the bands and that kind of thing, the entertainment industry. So, yeah, if you've got a brand, go ahead and make some masks and see if you can't either give them away or sell them. Because they seem to be the new T-shirt.
And you can not do that on principle, right? You can be like, I'm against the mask and I'm not going to participate. Or you can just find your market and start selling to them, right? Like I'm for the most part anti-mask, anti-lockdown, anti all that stuff.
Yep.
But sitting on my desk at work is like the brass carabiner, the no-touch carabiner, because I go like, well, there's enough people that want this.
If you're
so,
sitting
hey,
on
boss,
your desk,
can we
where
sell
do you
this?
write?
Sitting at my desk.
Oh, thank you.
At work. On my desk is this no-touch carabiner.
Just wondering about your posture, that's all.
Do you ride the carabiner to and from your desk?
No. But I sell it. I'm like, you know what? If we got to get this thing in because there's going to be people who want this thing, and why not make money off of those people?
I thought you had like some sweet zip line set up, to get from outside of your desk or something.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not a modern
Do you
climate
have a zip
carabiner.
line?
Do you have a zip line? 855-450-3733. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have 2 convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in talk radio program where you can take control of the air. That's right. You can join us here by dialing toll-free 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. And in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
We've been talking about this article from NBC News about elderly folks dying of social isolation as a result of the lockdowns that the government has mandated all across, well, the world, really. It is a global phenomenon that is going on for a disease that more than 99% of the people will not die from.
Well, it's not just that, 18 to 30 demographic committing suicide, or at least thinking about it, moving from 7% to 25%.
Right.
See, it's not just the young that are getting killed by this thing.
Right.
Well, and if you're a child of one of these elderly patients, at what point do you just go like, you know what, we've had enough, we're taking them home? Right? Get them out of that isolation environment as soon as possible.
Indeed.
So that they have the opportunity to thrive. And maybe early on you can say, well, this is only going to be for 2 weeks. We can ride it out. But this far into it, if you have an elderly family member in that environment, I would reconsider that environment.
We were talking about Mr. Pesky, who did die in Minneapolis in one of these elderly homes. Social isolation was listed as a contributing cause of death for at least 9 other Minnesotans, almost all long-term care residents, between June and September, according to state death records. No deaths in the previous 2 years cited social isolation as a cause. So, I mean, that's obviously a large percentage increase in the number of deaths from a thing that doesn't seem to have existed until this year.
Or late last year.
Yeah.
It's been close to a year now.
Well, I guess so, yeah.
It's already November.
One of the nurses who treated Pesky later described his deterioration as a burning candle with no oxygen left to draw air from. It was as if a light had gone out. He couldn't survive from being isolated. That's a description from one of his nurses. There is an unseen cost of the lockdowns. The effort to shield elderly, frail, and disabled residents from coronavirus has created another wrenching health crisis. The confinement meant to protect the most vulnerable is also threatening their lives. The isolation is robbing them of whatever good days they have left. It accelerates the aging process, Joshua Uwe, associate professor at the University of Pennsylvania, said. You see increased falls, decreased strength, and the ability to ambulate. Decreased ability to ambulate. You see acceleration of dementia because there's no rhythm to your day. There isn't a single part of a person's life that isn't affected. While there is no comprehensive tally of elderly people dying from causes linked to social isolation and confinement, evidence is mounting that restrictions related to COVID-19 are taking a toll on their health. According to a review of recent research interviews with medical experts in dozens of families across the country, the phenomena is far harder to track than the number of COVID-19 deaths linked to long care facilities. 84,000 as of early October, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, as it is unusual to list isolation as an official cause of death. But the harms are still real, experts say.
Or it used to be unusual. It's definitely more usual now.
It's certainly going to be far more usual now and in the future, as long as government decides to keep this crap up.
Is that part of the new normal?
Yeah, I was taking a look at another article on this, and it was saying that, so Minnesota specifically, as you pointed out, 2 years, 0. So 0 for
None.
years. And now, Minnesota, 2,000 this year. So from 0 people dying of this to 2,000 so far.
Well, it's just those crazy conspiracy theorists inflating the numbers, Lee.
Must be.
Confinement, social isolation, and the lack of external stimulation are also fueling cognitive decline and depression, which in turn increase the risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, etc., and so on, according to doctors at the University of California. Sometimes the doors to their rooms are open, and you can just see someone sitting in a chair with tears running down their face. Aronson, who is assisting San Francisco's response to the pandemic in long-term care facilities, said, "People ask me, is this the rest of my life? If so, I just don't want to go on."
I can see that too.
So how many of these are people that it is a release to finally die of their isolation rather than be exposed to the void?
there is such a thing as giving up. A person can give up and then just sort of cause their own death without.
It's usually very difficult.
Yeah, but
You
without
usually have to be
actually
pretty close. Yeah.
But without actually hanging yourself or shooting yourself.
Right.
The bad ways you think of committing suicide.
The will to live is very, very strong in
Indeed.
humans.
While most states have begun allowing some form of routine in-person visit for long-term care facilities, the guidelines vary widely and many restrictions remain, not only to protect residents, but also vulnerable frontline staff members, many of whom are low-wage Black and Hispanic workers. Some states and facilities are only allowing limited indoor visits, and colder weather is already curtailing outdoor visits. Many nursing homes have resumed communal dining and group activities, but still require residents to remain distanced from one another. And a single case of the virus can put a facility back on the lockdown for weeks.
Just like everything else, it should be pro-choice, right? If you want to be in the communal dining room, go eat in the communal dining room.
Yep.
If you want to isolate in your care room, go isolate in your care room. And that should still be extended to those low-income, minorities who have to work there.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work the communal dining room, then don't. If that means, getting a different project to work on or a new job, perhaps. I don't want to go that far and say you don't deserve to work. But find a new task at the old folks home and help those people in isolation.
Yeah, because if it is left up to choice, you're going to have a variety of tasks. You're
Absolutely.
going to have the in dining room tasks, or you're going to have meal delivery, right?
Absolutely.
So there you go. You could have those people who make those choices do those specific items, and then life could carry on.
And giving them those choices is another way for people to find a way to thrive in this environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible enough that there were some governors who sent COVID patients into these nursing homes and elderly care facilities when the quote pandemic unquote first
that should carry
came
some
on.
legal repercussions as well.
Oh yeah, and nobody will go to jail for that.
Yeah.
It's a whole other thing now to see that the government lockdowns have created this situation where these elderly folks who have some life left to live aren't. They're becoming depressed, they're becoming isolated, and they're dying because of it, because of the lockdowns. If anybody should be allowed more freedom, I think it's these type of people.
Well, and since it's a government problem, in a couple of days, you get to voice your opinion and vote for whatever it is you think it's the right thing to do. Government creates a problem, vote your way out of it.
Remind me, which candidate is promising to end the lockdowns?
Trump more than Biden, or unless you want me to say
did I miss a briefing? Because he hasn't said anything about ending this.
Well, during the debate, Biden was very clear during the last presidential debate that you have to get rid of the virus before you can open up the economy. And Trump said we're going to open up the economy and find a way to live with the virus. So
neither of those sound like we're going to end the lockdown.
It's not like they keep their promises anyway, but neither of them's even promising to, okay, we will end the lockdowns if we reach this metric. And whether it's a metric of time or of this many cases or this many deaths, just some kind of promise that you'll break later.
Right.
About when we're going to end this.
You guys know, and we had a conversation earlier before we came to the studio tonight, that I don't believe any of this is ending.
Right.
But the masks are going to continue. The lockdowns are going to continue. They're going to, say something like, "Oh, well, it's flu season now, so we have to continue the, our."
But the question was, who
since
said
since we got Osama bin Laden, they took TSA out of the airports, right?
Nope.
Oh, is that not how this works?
The question was who said it, and again, he may not have been quoted as saying we're going to end the lockdown.
Yeah.
We're going to open the economy and learn to live with the virus. Sounds a lot more like end the lockdown than we're going to keep people locked down and extend it further and do a nationwide mask mandate.
But do you believe it?
No, I don't believe it. But that wasn't the question. The question was who said it.
Or it could equally be we're going to find ways to put all of our businesses online.
Could be.
I know I've done a whole lot more of online shopping since this whole thing has gone down. I would like to see a whole lot more of curbside pickup be implemented by businesses. So businesses, if you're listening, not everybody wants to don the frickin' mask when they shop at your place. And boy, it sure is convenient to go to a website, pick out what you want, and go, yeah, I'll be there at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and you got it all ready for me, and I show up, and I type in a little code on my app or on my phone or whatever, and you bring the stuff out to my car. That's sweet.
I ordered 2 games from Best Buy. They said they would ship one. The other one I had to go and pick up. silly enough as it was, to like, just send them both. But no, I had to drive down there and pick one up curbside.
Weird.
It was weird.
855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number if you'd like to join our conversation tonight. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up for you.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Trading jabs on the campaign trail. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. President Trump and Joe Biden continue to take swipes at each other as they intensify efforts in key swing states. President Trump earlier in Dubuque, Iowa, saying Biden will destroy the economy with a pandemic shutdown.
The Biden lockdown will result in countless deaths, destroy millions in small businesses, and wipe out an entire generation of hopes and dreams. Earlier today, one of his top advisors again confirmed their desire for a shutdown. The damage to children, you know that. You saw that. It was in the news. They want to shut it down.
The president also had an earlier event in Michigan and has rallies coming up in North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Former VP Joe Biden spending the day in Philadelphia, hoping to sway more urban voters. Biden spoke at a drive-in rally and criticized the president's COVID response.
We're going to act to get COVID under control. It's almost criminal the way he has handled it. On day one of my presidency, I'm going to put in action a plan I've been talking about for months. Masking, social distancing, testing, tracing. A plan for full and fair and free distribution of therapeutics, vaccines, when we get one.
Biden will be in Pennsylvania again tomorrow and has added an additional event in Ohio. Some problems can be expected on polling day in Pennsylvania. That from Secretary of State Kathy Boockvar.
There could be voter intimidation. There will definitely be long lines. There could be problems with ballots or machines. And that's not to discount the seriousness of any of that. But I don't think any of it will go to the kind of fundamental integrity of the election result. I think Americans so far can feel really confident about how the election is going.
Boockvar telling NBC's Meet the Press those issues could delay final election results. America is listening to Fox News. The pandemic remains a key campaign issue in these final days before the 2020 election. More from Fox's Gernal Scott.
Jason Miller, an advisor to the Trump campaign, says while a vaccine is on the way, the president has brought therapeutics to the table.
COVID is no longer a death sentence for virtually everybody who gets it. We have made such miraculous advancements.
Biden campaign advisor Anita Dunn says the president is ignoring the reality of COVID spread to get reelected.
There are 1,000 families in this country who lost someone yesterday. There are 1,000 more that will lose someone today, and those are not virtually nobodies.
Both appeared on ABC's This Week. The U.S. has recently set single-day records for COVID diagnoses. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
With President Trump and Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden down to the home stretch ahead of Election Day, Trump campaign senior advisor Corey Lewandowski talked today about the hot-button topic of mail-in voting and the ongoing pandemic.
When you have some states that don't require a postage mark on there, so we don't know when they were filled out, they don't require signature verification, and some states say they'll be counting 9 or 10 days after the election, I think as the most industrialized country in the world, we can do better than that.
Lewandowski on Fox News Sunday. Over 93 million Americans have voted, according to the Associated Press. The Election Day weather forecast is a good one.
We got a great day for voting on Tuesday. A little bit of leftover snow from a Monday storm that we're going to see across areas of New England. But aside from that, almost no precipitation. Maybe the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of rain, but you're used to that. You're going to get out anyway. But there is no precipitation really anywhere that's going to cause any problems for voters.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. And Tropical Storm Ada is turning in the Caribbean and is forecast to become a hurricane by tomorrow. It's expected to dump up to a foot of rain on Central America. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News.
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
Federal authorities are currently on high alert in Washington, D.C., following reports that hundreds of crazed sociopaths infiltrated the congressional chambers this morning. Mary Canley, a Capitol employee who managed to escape the House chambers, described the troubling scene to reporters.
I saw all of them. About 400 to 500 completely deranged people just rambling on about guns, the military, and money.
Investigators say the lunatics, many of whom are believed to suffer from severe personality disorders, have locked themselves in the chambers for hours now, with no clear purpose or reasoning.
I looked at one of them right in the eyes, and it was like he was empty on the inside, devoid of any emotion or feeling. It was horrifying. It's only a matter of time before they do something that really hurts someone.
We believe these men to be manipulative and extremely dangerous. Luckily, they are also very disorganized, and there is a chance they may never be able to ever take any action at all. For more on this developing story, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk show where you can take control of the airwaves. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you in the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
Hey, I don't know if you guys, are you listening to the show? I know you check the show notes, but did I tell you guys I got a lordship?
Yeah,
I did
heard
see
about
that.
You,
Yeah.
you
All right,
own
cool.
an entire square foot of Scotland.
Indeed, yeah.
I clicked through that link because I'm like, well, if he's going to be a lord,
Yeah.
maybe I should be one too.
Lord
Can't have
Richie
him
Rich.
lording that over you.
Lord Peakless Mountaineer. See, doesn't that sound good?
You know, there used to be some kind of law in this country about not having titles.
Interesting. I'm told that if you take your lordship certificate down to ye old government agency, like the DMV, for example, when you're trying to renew your license, that if you just take it in, that they will add Lord to the front of your name on your driver's license. So when you get pulled over, you can pull the lordship card.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That would require that I go down to DMV and get a license.
You must release me, peasant.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you are already subscribing to the government identification fraud, then you may trick them. So
I will
to
say
speak.
this: it was not obnoxiously expensive to do. Like it was well within the reason of like I'm just going to throw some money at this just for the fun of it. So yeah,
nice. All right. Well, switching gears a little bit.
Well, I did have one.
Yes, go ahead.
General note on this. Like, it seems to me like, and I could be wrong on this, but it seems like we used to have a much better idea of just what was healthy human behavior. And that included things like talking to each other with
pyramid?
our faces,
Oh.
and seeing like moving around and getting sunlight and just a general idea of what it was like to be healthy. And it seems to me there's been this massive shift of if a scientist cannot show a chemical material cause for this to be unhealthy, then it must be healthy. And if they can't show a physical chemical cause for why this is healthy, well, then it's not healthy. And it's this strange worship of the priesthood of our universities that we have to listen to them on absolutely everything and listen to absolutely nothing of what we've inherited in just gut instincts and basic culture.
Well, and the majority of people that I am not fond of who say things like, well, it's the science. That's why I think the way that I do.
if that were true, they would change their mind when the science changed,
right?
And they don't.
But what they're doing is they're subscribing to the science authorities presented to them by the government, not investigating it on their own. In other words, the television is feeding them the science, right? Instead of looking it up for themselves. They're going, oh, well, if the government says scientist X is telling me the truth, then he must be telling me the truth.
Well, it's awful convenient because the people on the television all agree with each other.
Yeah.
And
almost
to be fair,
like there's only one opinion being offered.
To be fair, it would be prohibitively expensive and inefficient if everyone had to do the science on their own. Right? Like,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Science papers tell you this, news reports report it, whatever. And if you want to go like, well, I need to verify that on my own, you have to conduct your own independent study, going through all this, and then your neighbor has to do the same thing, and then nothing else gets done because everyone's trying to verify this one thing.
Right.
So at some point, right, you weigh the cost of trusting the experts with whatever it is they're supposed to be an expert in, with verifying information on your own. Right? Like same with mechanics and plumbers and electricians. Right? You go like, well, he knows more about this. I'm going to listen to that guy.
And there's a lot of things where they do the science and they find out, oh, yeah, this sort of common sense idea that people have been operating under, yes, it's verifiable. Like it was a big thing that, stress makes you sick. Like, having stress hormones in your body lowers your immune system. And they had to go through all this research to prove it. And number one, we still don't really operate like that. Like, it never seems to gain traction when they actually verify these common sense things. It doesn't change the way that people behave.
And again, because most of the people going like, well, I trust the science, it's a virtue signal as opposed to I actually trust the science.
Right.
They trust the science that backs their already pre-existing beliefs, and then they ignore everything else. Just like everyone does on most things.
Another thing that's bothering me is, and I don't have the article in front of me, I read it yesterday or the day before, there is something, they labeled it, it's called the silent pandemic now, right? Because, they're finding a number of people that they're testing are testing as positive for the coronavirus, but they're asymptomatic, so they show no symptoms. In other words, they're not sick. So, but now it's called a silent. So we have to treat otherwise healthy people.
It's even more scary.
Yeah,
now.
otherwise healthy people, right? This is the first time I can remember in my lifetime where otherwise healthy people are deemed sick because they didn't pass a medical test.
Well, they started that from the beginning, right? The asymptomatic carrier was a big deal. So from like March or whatever, it was like everyone must be treated as if they're sick because there's no way to tell if you're not sick.
Right, Schrodinger's virus.
And because the gestation period of the virus was 2 weeks, you always had to treat everyone as if they were sick because they may not show symptoms for 2 weeks. So you never are certain of whether or not they are asymptomatic or they have it and aren't passing it.
I had a coworker who had one of these COVID tests, tested negative, and they told her, well, we're getting so many false negatives back that we're still going to have to lock you up for 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
So then don't bother with the test. Just lock up for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Well, that wouldn't be very scientific now, would it?
No, the scientific thing is if you test negative, you treat it as negative until it's falsified otherwise. That's the scientific thing.
These 2-week lockups, I have an article, I'll see if I dig it up. I have it saved for show prep about New Zealand. And they're actually calling these 2-week places, they're calling them prisons.
Because they are.
They're very luxurious prisons. So the question is, what makes a prison, right? The fact
the
that
inability to leave.
So right, exactly. So there were somebody had called them prisons, and then like a bunch of people who were in these 2-week prisons for their isolation period of time, whatever
a
quarantine.
golden cage is still a cage.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, but this prison, they bring me lattes from Starbucks, and I have free Wi-Fi, and it's like you're still not allowed to leave.
Yeah, there's a mini documentary on like Scandinavian prisons, which is like an open model for low offenses.
Yeah.
Right. And it's basically that they have an apartment, they do their own laundry, they walk around it, and there's like a line out in the field somewhere that they're just not allowed to cross.
Right.
Right. Otherwise, they exist in the community as free as can be. You just can't cross that line.
That sounds a lot like cattle.
Sure, but they're prisoners who have committed whatever offense they have.
Yeah.
But it's just a more humane model of prisons.
Free-range prisoners.
There's so much money being made off of prisons. I wonder if this is a niche market that hasn't been tapped. The luxury prison. We increase our recidivism rate by just, bringing you Starbucks lattes.
And if you were to privatize the prison industry more so,
so then prisons start. Oh, that would be a good use for all the malls that have closed.
Hey, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Like now the malls are converted into prisons, and so the food courts they're food courts again, right? And you could have prisoners doing the mall walks.
Or
right?
a ghost town. Convert a ghost town into a prison. You guys just aren't allowed to leave town.
We may have carried this idea a little too far. Let's go to some of your calls and thoughts.
Never.
We have David calling from California. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, yeah. I heard you talking about the COVID testing and the trap of two weeks.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever paid attention at the very beginning, but the World Health Organization, and of course the World Health Organization is older than the United Nations, and the United States has funded hundreds of billions of dollars into the World Health Organization, and then Trump threw it away, right? Their tests were 7 cents apiece, and that's how they handled Wuhan, and that's why Wuhan has so few deaths, is because their tests were pretty quick. I don't think they were 15 minutes, but they were within a day or so.
Well, and if there weren't so many regulations, then there would be cheap tests.
So Americans need to subsidize this non-governmental organization.
We can use the World Health Organization test.
Hey, David, hold that thought. We'll bring you back after the break because I would like to hear more of what David has to say on the subject. I know he has called before, and he usually has intelligent things to say. 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number. Have you been quarantined for 2 weeks? We'd love to hear from you about your story of what happened. Did you have a luxurious 2 weeks prison, or was yours less than satisfying?
On a multidimensional probe, the Syscov Trans-Temporal Vehicle Clio discovers 2 entire universes have been annihilated in a massive time-traveling accident. Robert Kaminsky and his crew race home with the news, only to learn their own universe is next. To pull off the impossible, they'll have to embrace the unpalatable by placing their trust in the admin, Syscov's xenophobic sister universe, and the same people who tried to kill them all only months before. The Valkyrie Protocol by David Weber and Jacob Hollow. Available October 6th, wherever books are sold. Visit Bain Books at Bain.com for more.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com. Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and welcome back to Free Talk Live, the Sunday night edition. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. And we'll get to your calls and your thoughts in just a bit. Tonight in the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
And you've heard us talk about Divi here on Free Talk Live, and maybe you've wanted to set up one of their easy-to-deploy masternodes or stake Divi so that you can begin earning Divi right now. Ian says setting up Divi, the masternode, was super easy, and staking was even easier. We're not investment advisors here on Free Talk Live, but we think you will be impressed with your earning potential with Divi as compared to traditional investment vehicles. Go to DiviProject.org and get started. You can buy Divi at several exchanges or directly from the Divi team. Need help? There's a link to their Telegram channel right on the front page at DiviProject.org. That's DIVI Project.org. Let's go back to David in California. David, you had some further thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, it's just the science about the COVID testing. That the World Health Organization had a test that was basically a good one for 7 cents apiece, and that they were able to spot cases early. You know, if you can get somebody within the same day, then you can make sure they self-quarantine instead of them wandering around for 2 weeks. And the tests that we had in America were 2-week tests. And it was amazing that we threw away the World Health Organization tests just to go with, and to back this up, there's an article called Jared's Testing Plan Goes Poof. And if you look that up in Vanity Fair, you're going to read about not only was Jared commissioning $100 tests and $1,000 tests and whatnot instead of 7 cents, but that he was actually commissioning them to companies that had no ability to make them. And then if they were damaged tests, they were giving them waivers of liability. And so they were selling crap tests to school districts, to counties, to states, and they were selling faulty tests at $100 a piece. And so that's why we're behind. Trump intentionally wasted our relationship with the World Health Organization, which is an organization that we helped create.
I have a hard time, though, David, with organizations that put the word world in their own titles.
How does an epidemic work?
Well, I want a point of clarification first, because the 2-week time frame, to me, wasn't related to the testing period, but was related to the gestation period of the virus.
Right, to see symptoms.
Right. You couldn't tell whether or not you had it up to 2 weeks out, so the only way to be sure you were clear of it was to quarantine for 2 weeks. Right. And then if you were asymptomatic at day number 1 and you were asymptomatic at day number 2, or day number 14, I should say, 2 weeks out, then you were clear of the virus for that period. Now, if you walk out the door on day 14 and you happen to cross someone who has it, well, then you've got to do the whole 2-week thing over again. So it was less about the testing and more about that part of it.
Well, yeah, but if you go into a group of people blind and you're able to pull out those that already have it, and then you keep track of those that were sitting around with those same people, and you say, why don't you go home and self-quarantine for 2 weeks? And if you start showing symptoms, come to us right away. And the World Health Organization didn't believe in privatized medical care, and you got to show your card and wait for a bureaucrat to tell you whether or not you're covered. The World Health Organization made sure that everybody felt free and comfortable coming to the clinic if they felt like they had symptoms. And then you would know what apartment blocks or what neighborhoods had it already, what neighborhoods seemed to be clear.
Yeah, I wouldn't give them that information, personally.
Well, that's how World Health Organization's been doing for basically 100 years.
Well, my concern with this is the false positives, though. So, I mean, from all of the information that I have, they've never done what they ordinarily do when they're testing for a disease. They reach a point of what they call a gold standard, which is basically where you have minimized the number of false positives that you're going to get from this, where you have checked and made sure that, okay, here's someone who doesn't have this. We're sure of that, and this test has shown that they don't have it.
Well, because they're not using the WHO test.
The issue is whether or not you can use a standardized test that is so cheap and so effective that you can basically tell whether, 80-90% of them with accuracy. And upwards is great. But if you can in other words, I don't know if you all are fans of old radio, but I think there's an episode in Suspense about the World Health Organization, and this is an episode that was 10 years before the United Nations. So there's none of this fear about UN this and mandates and all this sort of junk. The World Health Organization episode had them coming into a mining town in South America, I think, and the vaccine that the guy's carrying all of a sudden disappears. It gets stolen. And it turns out the mining, the mining kingpin in that county steals the World Health Organization vaccine, and so they've got to track it down and make sure everybody gets access to it rather than just the employees of the Fat Cat.
This sounds like a script from a movie or something.
It's real. It's the same kind of junk. World Health Organization has had to deal with that stuff.
But if the World Health Organization walked in here with the vaccine, they would meet some resistance if they tried to force me to take it.
Well, if it's not whether or not it's a vaccine, it's the test.
Or a test. And if the World Health walks in here with the test, they would meet some resistance if they try to force me to take it.
Well, I can laugh at. I've seen stuff. The Titanic. Would you refuse to use a lifeboat? Would you, give every excuse about jumping overboard on a sinking ship? The fact of the matter is, COVID is real.
I didn't say it wasn't real.
Okay, so the testing, and I urge you to read this article. Jared's tests go poof. It's in Vanity Fair because it talks about him commissioning faulty tests. And whole school districts end up buying crap tests and then wasting their money and wasting their time and spreading the disease because they're crap tests.
Sure.
And they didn't use World Health Organization. And the fact is, look at the date that Trump started smearing the reputation of the World Health Organization.
So those that want to take the test should do their due diligence and find a working test that they trust.
December 28th is when Trump knew how deadly it was.
Well,
and
Trump
days
should
later,
neither get in the way of people trying to take that test that want to take it, nor require people that don't want to take it to take it.
Yeah.
Well, look at it this way. If the United States government helped fund the World Health Organization,
I don't want them funding
sponsor
anything.
Those tests,
give the money back to the people.
Why would you be afraid to take it?
Give the money back to the people.
Thanks for the call tonight, David. We do appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a disease that more than 99% of people aren't or are going to recover from, much less, all this asymptomatic
Things funded
people.
by the U.S. government can still be dangerous.
I don't need a test. 855-450-3733. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
So when we brought him home, we didn't realize that Bear, the rescue dog, was actually sick. He had very flaky skin. He was dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections, special dog food. Nothing seemed to work, so I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
I've been hearing Dinovite on the radio for years. It never actually crossed my mind to try it until it finally sunk in. Oh, you're talking about hair and skin, and all right. I'll try it. Well, it took probably 6 weeks, but after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin, he doesn't scratch and itch, and he started to put weight on.
Dinovite is nutrition.
I wish that we would have started the Dinovite right away. It would have been so much easier.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agorist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgoristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgoristHosting.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. It's the live Sunday night edition. 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number. That's 855-450-FREE as in freedom. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Bigless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
And we're going to shift gears. And we want to talk a little bit about this article that Richie Rich brought in. It is satire.
Maybe.
Well,
maybe.
Depending on your perspective. This comes to us from zerohedge.com, and the the headline reads, "The Official Babylon Bee Voter's Guide." Now, for those of you who don't know, Babylon Bee is a website much like The Onion that specializes in satire.
And I've got the real bee link pulled up as well.
Oh,
so,
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So we want to get to that. But first, let's go to the phones. We have James from Arizona calling in. James, you're on Free Talk Live.
And he's gone.
James, you're on Free Talk Live.
Passed out in a drunken stupor.
James going twice. James going
Bonjour,
3 times.
Capitan.
Hey, there he is. James, what's on your mind?
Bonjour, El Capitan. Ashley Cool. How are you doing?
I am well. Thank you for asking.
I'm fine. How are you?
Hey, Richardless Mountaineer, can I ask you a question? In all seriousness?
Go ahead.
If a lunatic were to make like Mark Edgington, as his friend Christopher Cantwell said once, with a wrench or something like that, and incapacitated Laura Edgington, and then that lunatic gave Laura Edgington's murderer a lift to the airport and a ticket to ride anywhere they want, how many years in prison do you think that lunatic should do, if any days in prison?
All of them.
Thanks for the call, James. Huh, what an interesting topic. So anyway,
hard to follow.
Circling back to this article from zerohedge.com, the Official Babylon Bees Voter Guide. Richie Rich?
I think this is important because, hey, we're getting so close to Tuesday, man. And so if you're going to be voting, you got to follow the official Babylon Bee Voters Guide. Because as you know, this election is the most important election
This
in
is
our
the
lifetime.
most important election in our lifetime.
Experts say it may be even the most important election since the formation of the universe over 6,000 years ago. Experts also say that if your candidate loses and the other candidate wins, democracy and freedom will be destroyed for all eternity. See, it's not all satire. That's out there. The only way to stop the apocalypse is to vote as hard as you can and totally own the other side. See? Not a satire.
Vote harder.
Vote harder. Vote harder, vote earlier. To ensure success on voting day, be sure to follow these important tips. Number 1, call Mark Zuckerberg on the phone to ensure you're at the right voting place.
I'll stop you right there because we like to pronounce things correctly here on Free Talk Live, but we have to say Zuckerberg because if we said the real pronunciation, it would violate the FCC. So that Z would be an F, and then, we couldn't say that. So we are using Zuckerberg as a placebo.
Okay, I thought I really actually said something wrong there. Number 2, binge watch Sean Hannity and Rachel Maddow the night before, so you'll be fully informed.
I'm convinced that that's what people actually do.
Right, so I told you, this is not all satire,
Well,
man.
that's where 100% of the important information is. I mean, if it was important, it would be on those 2 shows.
Okay.
Or maybe Tucker. Like he's like surged in popularity recently for whatever reason.
He's hit or miss. Every now and again, he really does speak the truth, and I have no idea how he gets away with it on that show.
Yeah. Maybe I just see the clips because I don't watch the show. But if someone goes like, you got to check out this Tucker clip, I'll totally watch it, and sometimes on point.
Yeah.
Tip number 3, look for any candidate with an R next to their name and vote for him so Jesus won't cry.
Oh, that's important. You don't want to make Jesus cry, do you?
Well, and tip number 4 is a little bit contradictory, I guess. Look for any candidate with a D next to their name and vote for them to end racism forever.
Also very important.
Well, don't you want to end racism without a crying Jesus?
How do you do that?
Well, you've got to vote for all the ones with the D and the R.
And D and the R?
Yes.
So L, forget it. L doesn't get on there at all.
Well, Jesus will cry if you vote for L and
okay.
And I mean, as everyone's aware, like there was this thing that was said in a publication that had Ron Paul's name on it, and if you take that a certain way, then therefore all libertarians are racists.
So a buddy of mine has a good voting strategy. He says, bet money that the person you don't like is going to win. That, and then vote however you want. Because that way, if your candidate wins, you're happy because your candidate wins. Mm-hmm. And if your candidate loses, you win money.
And so you're happy.
Right. So you're happy. Like, at least I made some money off of this.
So you've got some a little nest egg for the world going to
Right. And so my other friend goes, oh yeah, you just like bet that the libertarian's going to win. And I go, well then that's a lose-lose, man, because that's not going to happen and you're going to lose money. So there's clearly a strategy there. I'm going to stop counting because I might lose count and then I'm going to embarrass myself. Next one. Make sure and write the correct answers on your arm so you can refer to them while voting.
Oh, like the cheat sheet, right?
There you
used
go.
to write the answers to your test on your palm of your hands and look at them while you're taking the test?
Yep.
Well, don't tell anyone, but they let you bring your phone into this test.
It's an open notes test?
You can use your calculator and everything.
Oh, man. Making me excited to not go and do that. Next one. Remember, not voting is the same, as being a member of Antifa or the KKK. Oh, so now I got to choose.
Both of them at the same time.
Is that possible? Can you do that?
Well, no, really, if you think about this, because a vote for Trump is a vote against Biden, and a vote for Biden is a vote against Trump, and if you vote third party, then whichever one of them you like less, you are voting for.
Okay.
I mean, that's what people tell me. Like the Biden supporters are all telling me, hey, if you vote Jorgensen, it's really a vote for Trump. And the Trump supporters are telling me, hey, if you vote Jorgensen, it's really a vote for Biden.
So as the person
so
here
I like to vote once and get 2 votes out of the deal.
As the person here not voting, should I turn in my membership card for Antifa or the Ku Klux Klan? Like which do I have a better chance of fitting in with?
I don't know. They both seem to think that black people are completely incompetent. So, I mean, the KKK is better funded.
Let's not give them any ideas here, like about joining forces or anything. That'd be horrible.
Against a common enemy. I'm not going to say who that is. Next one. Bring extra hydroxychloroquine with you and pass it out to everyone so you can all stay safe.
Hey, there we go.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Otherwise, you got to vote and then quarantine for 2 weeks until you can get your test.
It does say bring extra, implying that you already carry some, and that some is enough.
Well, that's for you. You
Right.
carry enough for you. You got to bring extra to hand out.
But I don't know how much is enough for me.
Okay.
So I don't know how much extra would be, right?
It's like Jesus with the 2 fish. You bring 2 fish and then everyone eats. You bring your
so you've got to go get your doctorate before Tuesday. And then you'll know how much to bring.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Lord Captain Kickass.
I know I'm safe because I had a transfusion and replaced all my blood with bleach.
On a recommendation of Donald Trump?
Exactly.
Is that what happened to your hair?
You know, if if a little bit of bleach keeps you safe, if you just replace it entirely, then you're super safe.
You were a brunette before that happened, right?
The next one. Cough all over your ballot so Russian agents won't touch it and tamper with it. Next one. Go into the voting booth with your wife to make sure you approve of her choice.
Oh, God.
I almost have a feeling that's going to be backwards, right? They're going to come in with you to make sure that you make the appropriate vote.
Unrelated, have you guys seen the picture of Trump looking over like at Melania as she's voting? He's all peering over.
Just checking your
I
exercise.
thought that was pretty funny. 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number if you'd like to join us. We'll get to your calls and thoughts, and we have more Free Talk Live coming up for you.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have 2 convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay. We are GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. We've got listeners, lots of them. Around the world, around the clock, our listeners do what listeners do. They listen. And you know what listeners got? Needs. Needs for your products, your services, and money to buy those needs. With our network of over 1,000 radio stations, streaming on the web, and our satellite transmissions, we're reaching our listeners with quality conservative programming. But there's something our listeners don't have. Your offer to meet their needs. Any business needs buyers, but if our listeners don't hear your message, they're still going to buy what they need, just not from your business. So let's fix this. Tell us about your business. Then let our super creative department go to work to craft just the right message for our GCN listeners. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just shoot us an email. advertise@gcnlive.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
I'm a horrible air drummer, in case you didn't know. I try and drum along with those drum beats sometimes, and, you know, if I were actually drumming on drums, I would not be playing the same thing the drummer is playing during the music, so...
I tried to do the air guitar during one of the breaks just because you can't have like 3 drummers in the studio.
Nice. Well done.
I just assumed your fists were dancing.
Were you lead guitar or rhythm?
Rhythm.
Okay, very well. This is Free Talk Live, in case you're wondering. You are in the right place for the live call-in talk radio show where you can take control of the air, talk about whatever you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733 or 855-450-FREE.
I like that one better.
As in freedom. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Lord, Dr. Reverend Captain Kickass, and joining me...
Are you all those things?
Honorary doctor.
Ah, nice. Nice. Peakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
And we are talking about... these
the
tips
man with infinite titles
from Babylon Bee, the Babylon Bee official guide to voting, and we'll get to the rest of those in just a minute. But let's go to Padraig in New Mexico. You are on Free Talk Live.
You actually said it well. I need a cool name like you guys got.
Just make one up. That's what we did.
Easy to remember, Captain Kickass. Easy to remember.
I hope I didn't butcher your name too badly.
Not so well.
What's on your mind, Padraig?
What's on my mind is that I've listened to you guys for quite a while now, and that you talk about Bitcoin, but it confuses me because Bitcoin is traded on the internet, and there's been times when when I go into places to purchase something, and I can't use my credit card or my debit card because their connectivity is down, not worldwide or not nationwide, but certain stores or certain places that I want to purchase something from, their computers are down.
Right.
And they take cash. They say cash only. So I know the government. I own my own business, and anything over $9,999 is tracked by the government, NSA. And I was just wondering, what happens if solar flare happened, or the internet went down, or EMP blast happened? What would happen to Bitcoin?
It's a good question.
And I'll just let you guys answer it. You don't have to answer me the phone, but I'll listen to the radio.
All right.
I just was wondering what would happen to Bitcoin if the computer system, the network went down, if the World Wide Web got wiped out for 2 or 3 days. What would people do?
Sure.
That's my question.
All right. Well, we appreciate the call. We'll go ahead and
Thank you.
and let you go there so you can catch up to the broadcast. It is an interesting question, a question that has been posed before. It's not a new question to me, but I would imagine many listeners have the same question, particularly if they're new to the cryptocurrency game. And believe it or not, it would still exist, technically.
Right.
It still exists if it's, on a hard wallet, if it's saved to, a computer drive somewhere.
Well, and so that's the thing there. So the idea is that a strong enough EMP blast will essentially wipe all of the unshielded computers in the world.
Okay.
So if somewhere, as I understand it, if somewhere out there is a blockchain record in a system that was shielded, then that has the entire record.
Right.
So,
but you wouldn't be able to do any new transactions and link it to that blockchain for those 3 days that it was down.
Yeah, while it was down, you wouldn't be able to get at it. I wonder what would happen to our credit card records if that were to happen, because that's much fewer systems, and I mean, there are a lot of people into cryptocurrency that like to be prepared for things going wrong in weird ways, whereas I don't think that's a huge priority for credit card companies. I could be wrong. Maybe they do have a backup on a shielded drive somewhere, but I would think that would have more problems than cryptocurrency would.
That's usually what I liken it to. Like whenever I hear that doomsday scenario, I go, well, you're going to be screwed. Right.
For one thing.
For a while, yeah.
For one thing, there's no power, and with no power, there's no food and water.
Right.
So we're going to have different priorities.
With no power comes no responsibility?
But if that happens, right, Bitcoin will go down, right? You'll have the backup on some blockchain that hopefully got shielded.
Right.
But the entire banking system goes down with it. Right.
Right, yeah.
So the only thing that you have is like the cash in your pocket and the goods that you then have to trade.
Right.
Right. So if you're worried about Bitcoin because of that, you're on the wrong track, because that's just as good as like being worried about that with the banking system.
I think what you're saying, at least in my mind, what I'm hearing is that Bitcoin is actually likely far more resilient than any state-based currency.
Yes,
because of its decentralization and global network effect.
Right.
So, like, I know that the internet, being a network, can be affected by EMPs, and if there is something like a solar flare that wipes out the electricity for, I don't know, the whole northeastern seaboard of the United States, Bitcoin still exists, and it still functions in the rest of the network, and then when the network for that area, which has been blacked out by the EMP from the solar flare, comes back online, then everything just resumes as normal.
Right.
You would catch up to the network with your transaction.
And even if you have a full global solar flare EMP event, I mean, yeah, it's going to be rough for a while, but I'm convinced that we will end up back with electricity and back with the internet. There will probably be changes. I'm sure that there will be a lot more focus on wireless networks for most of it, but I mean, we will be back with the internet.
Yeah. The blockchain is far more decentralized than any credit card company.
Right.
Right.
So the other question that I would have for the actual experts in Bitcoin is this a problem that could be solved with the Lightning Network, right? Because the Lightning Network doesn't require constant access to the blockchain, right? It resolves in blocks later.
Right.
So you do faster transactions that are on the Lightning Network,
and then it broadcasts
and then it resolves
later, right? So if you did a transaction on the Lightning Network and the Bitcoin network was down, it would just remain sort of in this limbo state on Lightning until the Bitcoin network came back up, and then the transaction would process.
So you could do a Lightning to Lightning transfer to do daily trades, and then that will all resolve if and when the network gets up and running.
Right.
In my mind,
we might be getting into the weeds here, but in the lifeboat scenario of an EMP taking out the planet, all of your trades that you've put on the Lightning Network are probably gone. Like all of the ones that are between the last time that they did a block shift,
right?
Those are gone.
Yeah.
Right. But then so are your credit card transactions. So is everything not cash.
Now I feel
you're not going to be able to go to the ATM and pull out an extra $100. It's gone.
Right.
Right. You have what you have on you and the goods you have available to trade.
But then when the internet comes up, the blockchain record is still likely to be on someone's somewhere.
Right.
And it's the same blockchain network, so it has every transaction logged on it.
Right.
So,
But the banking records are going to go back to that last paper transaction that you can hope the bank will recognize.
Now, there's something else to be said about the ability to do Bitcoin transactions on paper.
Right, but eventually
you can have
that
paper
resolves.
wallets.
Right, but even the paper wallet resolves to the network.
Right.
It's not, unless you have a paper wallet with $1 worth of Bitcoin, and then you start handing like, yeah, I promise you, this is $1 worth of Bitcoin.
If you had two smartphones in Faraday cages when this event happened, you could still do a phone-to-phone cryptocurrency transaction.
Right.
Right.
But then that would eventually resolve to the blockchain.
Right, whenever the blockchain reestablishes itself. I need to point out to our listeners who might be confused by all this, the likelihood of some sort of global catastrophe that wipes out the internet for the entire planet. Not really likely to happen.
Highly unlikely, especially within the next 100 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bitcoin doesn't require internet proper. Right. Just requires a network.
A network, right.
Nodes of interconnected blockchains that resolve with each other and call that the blockchain network.
Right. There's a lot of the preppers talk about the mesh networks that they would develop, in sort of these grid down scenarios, or if the government turns off the internet switch or whatever, that they can build these mesh networks that, yes, cryptocurrency can flow over the mesh networks. It just needs a network in order to survive. So it's a good question. It's fun to, sort of digest and, talk about what might happen.
But you've also got bigger problems.
Yeah. I mean, if that is the actual thing that happens, you've got way bigger problems. I do, however,
suggest... want to know, will Starbucks have my latte if there is a global EMP event?
I suggest to our listeners that you diversify. Yes, if you're going to get into crypto, but also get into, hard money, gold, silver, valuables, ammunition, tradables.
Cigarettes, alcohol, and ammo.
Alcohol, yeah. ATF should be a convenience store, right?
Ammo, by far. You can trade it two ways.
Did you know that the shot of whiskey is called a shot because you used to be able to trade one bullet for that pour of whiskey?
Probably still can.
Yep. 855-450-3733. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
trying to make the most of the time left before Election Day. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. The Associated Press reporting more than 93 million Americans have already cast their ballot as some states wrap up early voting. With less than 2 days before the election, both President Trump and former VP Biden are spending today squeezing in final rallies.
Joe Biden is spending his pre-election Sunday in Pennsylvania, believed to be the keystone electoral state that could give him or President Trump the White House.
The last time Donald Trump ran, he won the state by 44,000 votes. So every single vote matters.
Mr. Biden was in Philadelphia. Meanwhile, President Trump is storming through 5 states today. This was in Dubuque, Iowa.
If you want a vaccine to kill the virus, a job to support your family and freedom to live your life, then you cast your ballot for me, and you have to do it on November 3rd.
Eben Brown, Fox News.
In New Orleans, there's finger pointing over the lack of electrical power at some polling sites after it was knocked out by Hurricane Zeta.
New Orleans Democratic Mayor LaToya Cantrell says it's unclear whether electrical service will be restored to the powerless precincts in time. She's accusing the Republican Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin of refusing to provide support for generators. Ardoin has said polling places would receive generators for Election Day, but he didn't specify whether providing the generators would be a state or local responsibility. He said in a statement, "It's unfortunate politicians like Cantrell are trying to score cheap political points instead of being part of the solution."
Fox's Rob Dawson. Maine is reinstating COVID-19 restrictions amid a resurgence of the virus after being one of the most successful states at controlling COVID-19. Maine is seeing a wave of new infections with average new cases more than doubling. America is listening to Fox News. The number of dead from a strong earthquake in the Aegean Sea that struck Turkey and Greece has grown to at least 71. Rescue workers in western Turkey are still searching 8 collapsed buildings after extracting a 70-year-old man alive from one last night. In Poland, anti-government protests triggered by the tightening of the strict abortion law took place for an 11th day. People in many cities again disregarded a virus control restriction limiting public gatherings. An Atlanta-based company has purchased Dunkin' Donuts,
a new corporate home for a couple of well-known franchise food marquees. Inspire Brands announcing that it's buying the Dunkin' Brands Group for $11.3 billion in a cash-for-stock deal that includes Dunkin's outstanding debt. Dunkin', based in Canton, Massachusetts, has about 12,000 to 500 locations and some 8,000 Baskin-Robbins ice cream outlets worldwide. Inspire is the corporate home for Buffalo Wild Wings, Arby's, the Sonic Burger chain, Jimmy John's Restaurants, and Rusty Taco, with combined annual sales of more than $14 billion. Paul Stevens, Fox News.
The International Space Station marks 20 years in orbit on Monday.
When the first crew, including American Bill Shepard and Russian Sergei Krikalev and Yuri Gidzenko, first moved in on November 2nd of 2000, the space station consisted of only 3 small rooms and 1 toilet. The complex is now almost a football field long, with a lookout tower and 3 toilets. Over the past 20 years, 241 visitors from 19 countries have floated through the space station hatches, including astronauts, construction workers, and several tourists who paid their own way. The current crew, like the first, includes an American and 2 Russians, marking the 2-decade milestone by sharing a special dinner and enjoying the amazing views of Earth. Kathleen Maloney, Fox News.
And I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News.
In this week's Onion Tips section, 5 easy ways to adapt your deplorable and parasitic existence for the upcoming Armageddon. Tip 1. Focus on preparing your home for any number of disaster situations, which still probably won't take your mind off of your impending death or the myriad mistakes you made in your short, pitiful life. Tip 2. Make sure your linens are clean prior to the upcoming catastrophe, as these are likely the very same sheets on which you will soon be slowly asphyxiated. Tip 3. Take some time off work and spend your last days free from the bonds of the oppressive machine that was just about the only thing giving you a purpose to your otherwise insignificant days. Tip 4. Spend your final waking minutes before the end of the world with your family, knowing full well you'd rather be doing a number of other gratifying yet completely depraved things. Right, sicko? In other news, a smitten foot fetishist thinks these may be the two. A woman and her gay best friend go on another one of their little adventures, and a dead daughter would have wanted a $220 million liability settlement.
This is the Onion News Network.
According to a report released Monday, Americans currently lead the world in compressing big sandwiches into sufficiently biteable sizes, outranking countries such as Germany, Slovenia, and Ukraine in their sheer capacity to squeeze BLTs, meatball subs, and grinders into shapes that will easily and efficiently fit into their open mouths. Researchers pointed out that in series after series of tests, Americans consistently topped international rankings by implementing over 800 pounds per square inch of compressive force on sandwich categories as diverse as banh mi, croque monsieurs, or gyros, rarely hesitating for more than a moment before diving in and pushing the bread together and wedging it into their mouths.
Even in the cases in which Americans fail to sufficiently compress a sandwich and, say, dropped a stray piece of bacon or avocado, they still led the pack on quickly scooping up this topping with their hands and eating it, sometimes even inventively doing so with a stray potato chip or french fry.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. I'm trying to imitate that guy. I sounded Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
I sound a little like Dave Mustaine. Hello, Free Talk Live. This is Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. And you're listening to Free Talk Live. Hello. No? All right. 855-450-3733 is our toll-free number. That's 855-450-FREE, as in free freedom. Hello. How are you? I'm good, thanks.
On 98 Rock FM.
In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Beakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
We've been talking, well, about a whole bunch of things. Previous segment, we were talking a bit about Bitcoin, but we started off talking about this article from Zero Hedge, but more importantly from the Babylon Bee.
Babylon Bee, yeah.
About their tips for voting. Is that what it is?
The official voter's guide.
Well, let's pick up where we left off, Richie.
All right. So if you're going to go there and vote, if you're a Calvinist, close your eyes and vote for random people to place it all in God's hands.
Wait, wouldn't you want to place it in Calvin's hands?
Well, you see, the people you're going to vote for have already been predetermined.
Right.
So by trying to make a choice, really, you are an affront to God's divine plan. And it's also impossible.
So oddly enough, I had a boss who was a self-described Calvinist.
Yeah.
And he's, telling me all about it and how, he got, the Holy Spirit came and talked to him and told him he had to do this. And I go, all right, well, I guess I'll just wait for that, because then I can't be a Calvinist until that happens.
Right.
So I'll just continue doing what I'm doing until I get that revelation myself.
I always thought it was just people who were into some guy named Calvin.
Yeah, it's spiritual determinism is what it is.
Oh, a Calvinist versus a Hobbesian?
Yeah, there you go. Next one. Host a mega tailgate party outside the polling station, even if you're a Biden voter. Biden parties are lame.
Yes.
That is definitely true. I've seen the footage.
So that's part of what scares me a little bit, is because to me, like, the Trump rallies are all big and strong and makes you think that Trump's got all the support. And the Biden rallies are like meek and mild and, kind of like sad and depressing. However, I would assume that Biden voters are more likely to be the ones who stay inside during a global pandemic for their safety and aren't the ones to show up all willy-nilly with super spreader events like the Trump rally. So it may not be as good of an indication of voter turnout as rally turnouts.
I know a girl whose nickname was Super Spreader.
Okay.
Also, I wanted to clarify, you said host a MAGA, M-A-G-A.
Right.
That's Mexicans always get a cross, right?
Yeah. Make somebody great again.
Okay. Just checking.
All right. Is it pronounced MAGA? Did I pronounce it wrong?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I can pretty much guarantee that as far as the people showing up and voting tomorrow, Trump wins. However, there's a whole lot of people not showing up and voting tomorrow, but already filled out their forms and put them in the proper places and all of that.
And half of them were dead before that happened.
You mean Tuesday?
Yeah, Super Tuesday.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Day after tomorrow.
Close enough. We have to set the clocks
back.
And it's
I know the government savings time has gotten to you, and it messes with your circadian rhythms and your sleep cycle, and all that fun stuff. So
you mean Tuesday doesn't come after Sunday? Ah, crud.
I mean, some people wish it would.
Maybe in Europe. If you are made to wait in line for any length of time, scream voter suppression at the top of your lungs.
I might show up to a voting area, not to vote, but just to do that. Just to scream, voter suppression!
Get it on video.
Excuse me, sir, you need a mask. Voter suppression!
Voter suppression! Take the time to listen to a woman of color and ask how she would vote, like Candace Owens.
I missed the reference there.
She is
conservative,
black conservative female.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I don't want to use the word token, but she's like the token go-to. If you want to go like, well, what does a black woman think? You go to Candace Owens. Because,
Well, it's a strange thing that I've seen so few people who claim to speak for the black community actually ask the black community what they like. It seems almost like they're just putting forward their ideas in the name of minorities.
Because you can't really ask an entire community what they like. How would that work?
Well, and also, I mean, you could ask like people, do a survey, go through a black neighborhood, knock on doors and be like, how do you feel about 72 genders?
and maybe that'll bring us all together. Don't let the post office deliver your ballot. Instead, hand deliver your ballot directly to President Trump.
Wow. Be a long line at the White House.
And then you can scream voter suppression if you have to wait in it.
That's true.
Does he really have the hands for that many voter ballots?
Just tiny little hands.
They're the greatest hands. They're the best hands ever.
Beautiful hands. Exceptional hands.
People have said that they're the best hands.
Bring a basin of water so you can wash your hands after voting like Pontius Pilate. And the final one, pray or don't. Whatever, it's cool. You do you. We hope you find this guide beneficial. Now it's time to vote and save our democracy from the evil other half of the country. Go get them, champ. That's the end. So there's your Babylon Bee Voter's Guide for Tuesday. Take their advice.
Thank you.
Vote harder.
Babylon Bee.
Well, the people voting are in fact saving the country from the other half of the country that doesn't.
So they think. And the problem is both sides think that.
It's true.
So we end up...
Well, no, I mean, so the half of the country just doesn't vote anymore.
Okay.
So it's that half that they're saving the country from.
Oh.
Both Biden and
apathetics?
Trump supporters.
Because I talked to a friend who I'm going to assume, sent in his vote. His social media posts lend me to believe that he's on the left. And so I said, do you really think that the way you cast your vote, which I didn't ask him, I'm making assumptions here, is like a win-win situation? And he went, absolutely. And I go, that's part of the problem right there, right? You think that you're so righteous with whom your chosen candidate is that the other half of people that disagree with you vehemently are still better off because your candidate wins. And that's so misguided and mistaken.
Well, see, what really needs to happen is that I need to become God Emperor of the universe and tell you all what to do because I'm better at making decisions than you.
But that's the mentality of all of the voters, right? The people voting for Trump think the same thing, right, as the people voting for Biden, that they must do this not only for self-defense of their own interest, but because it's better for all parties involved. Both parties can't believe that.
It's an act of supreme compassion for me to threaten you with kidnapping for the things I don't like.
When you put it like that, it sounds bad, but they actually believe that. And that's part of the problem.
I vote because I care about you.
That's why I wear a mask. It's for your safety.
So voting is just gaslighting.
Sure. Yeah.
Based on your description.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we do have this other article from Mises.org. Now, I love this website, and you should go and check it out, Mises.org, if you haven't already. This one is called How to Limit Social Media's Power Without Growing Government.
This is important because there's a lot of people that claim social media is out of control.
Oh, it is.
And, okay, but a lot of the prescriptions for how to fix that is more government regulation.
I disagree. I mean, with the lot of people who say that.
Right. But a lot of those people are tech and higher ups or, popular individuals in the tech industry and surrounding that. So they think that they have special knowledge about social media and tech in general. And every time social media or Google or Amazon or Facebook runs amok, right, it's like, we just need more regulations to keep them in line and hold them back and do whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, gee, if only they hadn't put their thumb on the scale to put these companies in a monopoly position in the first place, then we wouldn't be here.
Those people may see that, but they don't recognize that as the problem, right? Government may issue monopolies in, power and water and whatever else, local municipalities. And they go, well, really what the government needs to do is take over the internet because that is so ubiquitous that it needs to be run by them.
Yeah,
monopolies are bad.
I've heard several folks say the internet needs to be a utility.
Public utility. Yeah. Great.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the people of Flint are really enjoying the government job on water so far.
Right.
Well, they are. It's tasty.
It's got extra vitamins and minerals.
Chunky.
It's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll talk more about this on Free Talk Live coming up.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Bitcoin tops 13,000 and breaks its own record for consecutive days above 10,000. Satoshi Nakamoto, if alive, enters the top 200 world's wealthiest people. DC International Monetary Fund manager warns of major financial reset imminent. PayPal begins selling and accepting Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes mainstream. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Bear, the rescue dog, had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com. Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live Sunday night edition.
The dulcet tones.
Our toll-free number here is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
And I need to tell you about AnyPay 2.0 is here. And crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com, or Dash Wallet, your experience should be smooth. But some wallets, well, they're not ready for this impressive new technology just yet. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0, and reach out to the wallet programmers and encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. That's anypayinc.com/upgrade. I've personally had excellent experiences. I use the Edge wallet. They're dialed into AnyPay, and at least here in the Keene area, the retailers that take the cryptocurrency, they use the AnyPay as their POS system, and it's great. It works great for me. I use it tonight to pay for my dinner.
Very cool.
We're going to delve into this article from Mises.org, but first, let's go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, infinite wisdom.
Infant?
The government has infinite wisdom.
Oh, infinite wisdom. I thought they had infant wisdom.
Well, he said the government, so it might be infant wisdom.
Well, I think that's denigrating to infants to think that they're as unwise as the government.
Go ahead, David.
Infantile wisdom.
Go ahead.
I can prove it. Let me prove it to you right now.
Uh-oh.
So, in New Mexico, in the court system, in the family and children's court system, before Judge M. Monica Zamora and Judge John J. Romero Jr. and Judge Angela Jewell, amongst others, but that's good enough for now. So,
if all three agree, it counts.
Pardon?
If all three of them agree, it counts.
That's right. And so, in their infinite wisdom, they decided that a dude that married my ex should be able to adopt my children and push their biological father out of the picture, out of the lives of his biological children, because what? It would be in the best interests of the children.
Mm.
And so now this is a police report. It's actually a court document and a police report.
Mm-hmm.
State of New Mexico versus Kurt Elich, E-L-I-C-H. And one excerpt of this rather short police report anyway, it's just one long paragraph, but pulling the best parts. So this gentleman who was the state allowed to adopt my children before I got it reversed on appeal unanimously. This gentleman, Mr. Elich, it says right here, let's see, he got on top of her and covered her nose and mouth with his hands. Ms. Elich stated that Mr. Elich was suffocating her, and she was unable to breathe. Ms. Elich stated Mr. Elich forcefully attempted to have sexual intercourse with her. Ms. Elich stated she was not wearing pants, and Mr. Elich attempted to penetrate her vagina with his penis, but was unable to do so. Ms. Elitch stated there was contact but no penetration. Ms. Elitch stated she was able to get away from Mr. Elitch and climb out the window. Ms. Elitch stated she ran up the hill behind her house and called 911. Ms. Elitch stated she could hear Mr. Elitch yelling at her son, David Elitch, and his name should not be Elitch, should be Olson because he's my son.
Okay, so
inside the house.
Yeah, sum it up for us, David.
That is the sum of it. So this dude that in the infinite wisdom of our government, which should not exist, they decided because they're so much smarter than us that the biological children of me should instead be the legal children adopted to this dude right here, who
is allegedly accused of rape, according to the document you just read, right?
Well, he's charges of, this is a grand jury indictment on felony charges of beating the ass out of my children's mother and attempting to rape her, and then assaulting and battering my son.
Okay,
he's charged with that as well.
Your
So
case notwithstanding, can you envision a scenario where the wife is a single mother raising children and remarries, and that dude wants to, adopt the kids because he loves the kids?
Can I envision that?
Yeah.
I can envision it, but there's really no need for adoption and any of that crap anyway. If two people are in a relationship and they have children and they don't want to be in that relationship anymore, at least one of them, and so they split up. Okay, so what? And so the kids they're with their mom half the time and they're with their dad half the time, and that's about all that is. That's about as complicated as it gets.
Well, there might be a legal reason for the adoption, right? If something should happen to the mother and the
legal reason. What are you advocating for government? You moron!
No,
he's just throwing scenarios at you.
What are you advocating for government for, you moron?
Well, I'm not advocating for the government. I'm saying that
Well, you said a legal reason.
Sure.
Who in the hell creates law, you moron?
Well, if you're going to keep calling me a moron and interrupting me, I'm just we can't have the conversation, you idiot.
I'm just doing that for fun. So
Okay.
if you want to speak, go ahead and speak.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Gotta tell you, dude, I'm not having fun with you insulting my co-host here.
I'm not
prefer
really
you didn't.
insulting him when it's tongue in cheek, moron.
Okay, well, that'll be enough of that. Thanks for the call, David.
All right.
Appreciate that.
I was thinking
it is
of a
poor
medical
situation.
scenario, right?
David has called in before, and it's a horrible situation. That family court, first of all,
always a horrible.
Always a horrible situation. They don't abide by even their
They don't
own
have
laws.
rules to abide by.
Right, and it's basically just a free for all for the judges and the lawyers to essentially take the money of people who are battling for the well-being of their children.
Right. But you may have a scenario where the father is either out of the picture or doesn't want to be in the picture, right? The mother remarries, finds a loving husband, and that dude wants to adopt the kids. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, for legal reasons, because we live in a society that has laws and rules, and I'm all for getting rid of those.
Yes.
But right now, that's the situation we have.
Yes.
So a medical condition befalls the mother, befalls the children. Who is then responsible for the children? Does it revert back to the biological father who's nowhere to be found? Or does the adopted father...
Hold on. You're moving
depend
the
on
goalpost in your hypothetical here. Like,
No, I didn't.
So, I mean, he was pointing out the possibility of, so a couple splits up, so split the time with the kids between the two.
Understood.
Now, if one of them is nowhere to be found, well, then obviously you're not doing that.
That's why I said ignore his current situation, because he's saying that this should not occur at all because of situations like his. And I'm saying there are situations where this could be beneficial to the kids involved if his situation notwithstanding, there is a loving adoptive father who wants to replace an absent biological father.
Point made. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. That's 855-450-3733. We've got more coming up.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
From New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author Larry Correia comes the latest chapter in the epic military fantasy saga of The Forgotten Warrior, when the Grand Inquisitor perverts the law in his genocidal plot to kill every man, woman, and child in the untouchable cast. Only the traitor, Ashok Vadal, and the Sons of the Black Sword stand in his way. If it's war he wants, it is war he will get. Bain Books presents Destroyer of Worlds. Available September 1st, wherever books are sold. Visit MonsterHunterNation.com for more.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. Welcome back, everybody. It's the live call-in radio talk show where you could take control of the airwaves, talk about anything you like. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain,
Peakless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021. Yes, at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021, and we'll see you at forkfest.party. I'll be there. Come party with me.
Looking forward to the naked bonfire.
Which one?
Just throwing it out there. Make it happen.
Make it happen, Captain?
Make it happen, Captain.
That was not the event I was planning to hold, but if you would like to put on such an event, please do.
If it happens to be an event, maybe we'll see.
All right.
Well, I would like to let you know officially that if you don't do this, I will be kidnapping you and keeping you in my basement.
What do you think? You're some kind of...
That is how people in an evolved, civilized society deal with their problems.
Yeah, what do you think you are? Some kind of government?
Moron!
I'm not.
We began briefly talking about this article from Mises.org.
I think you just teased it.
How to limit social media's power without growing government. And the article goes, censorship by private companies is a topic that divides free marketers, but has suddenly become important in the wake of Twitter and Facebook's recent attempts to squash a New York Post story alleging corruption in the Biden family, among other stories.
Amongst a lot of
Yeah,
things.
this isn't the first thing that these two social media companies have tried to censor, but it is possibly the most relevant currently.
That was fun. So their first tactic is you just can't have this link. You cannot have a link to this information. We will not post it.
Right.
And then they mysteriously shut down completely. Which happened right after, okay, you can't have this link, and then all of a sudden it's trending, censorship on Twitter, all of those hashtags, and suddenly there's just no Twitter for a little while.
So isn't that a market function, right? Can't you just say that the market took care of that one, right? Twitter being the free company that they're allowed to be said like, no, we can limit what we post, we can choose what we post, we can edit what we post, and the market goes like, no, we're not having that. If you're going to be the censorship, we're going to point it out and blast you for it. And it caused enough of a backlash for the corporation, Twitter, to reconsider.
Yeah, I would say that is a market action, or at least a reaction.
Sure.
A market reaction.
Function of the market
yes.
to regulate the business.
Yes. But without doing it using, an institution of violence.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if fully informed voters vote for the guy I don't like, then we can't have fully informed voters. Duh.
Well,
logically sound.
Public schooling, you can't have fully informed voters either. So, last year, economist James Miller argued that just as the power company can't turn off your electricity for being a Trump supporter, social media companies shouldn't be able to silence you for your political opinions. Others have argued that companies can silence whomever they like because it's their company. This is a red herring that misses the fact that reform would actually reduce government intervention by narrowing something called Section 230 immunity.
And one thing about this is they don't present themselves as a service that's going to do this. Like when you sign up for a Twitter account, there's nowhere in that, unreadable contract that you sign that says, oh, by the way, here's our political leanings, and if you step outside of those, here's what will happen to you. Yeah. It's like that if that was in the agreement, not that anyone reads them, I mean, it would be at least a halfway fair thing to do.
And okay, so to be fair to Twitter, for a very, very long time from their inception, they were probably the most free speech social media platform out there.
Were.
And from their perspective and from some of the people in the tech industry, the reason that they scaled that back was because free speech turned into online harassment, or harassment. And then they had to regulate speech in order to create a platform that was inclusive of other people.
So,
well, hold on. This is a platform where you could silence someone who starts harassing you, right? Like you can,
well,
you know,
the platform
click the little
could
button,
silence
and
somebody.
then sorry, I'm not on Twitter, but from what I understand, if I'm on Twitter and you're saying things to me I don't like, I can just mute you.
You could.
So what's the problem?
I could then create another account very easily and start harassing you again. And then you are playing this infinite game of how many people can I block that creates new accounts very quickly until the platform itself becomes unusable to you because it's prohibitively difficult and annoying to continue to do that, and the trolls take over. So they go, we're not going to have this. We want you, the proper user of the platform, to have a good experience. We're going to limit the speech of the trolls, and we get to determine who that is.
Continuing on, first, what free marketers agree on. Regulation of speech by government is both unconstitutional and a very bad idea. From 1949 to 1987, the so-called Fairness Doctrine was used to utterly silence the right. Rush Limbaugh was a salesman for the Kansas City Royals until Reagan finally repealed the rule, and Murray Rothbard famously could fit the entire libertarian movement into a living room. The doctrine's repeal opened the floodgates for talk radio, then Fox News, and now content from the Mises Institute to Prager University to even Babylon Bee, which we've talked about tonight. Given the vast majority of federal workers remain partisan Democrats, the deep state, if you will, has not changed its colors. Reimposing regulations of speech likely means a return to socialist domination of speech. However, actual solutions being proposed involve not more regulations, but less. Yay!
Let's hope.
Well, yeah, let's find out. In particular, narrowing an immunity that was granted to online platforms in Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. This was a special immunity from liability for user-posted content so long as the company was acting as a platform open to all comers. Think common carrier rules, such as those with the phone company. I've heard this on the social media. People are like, imagine if your phone company discontinued your service because they didn't like you conversing about your candidate of choice over
They
the
were
telephone.
listening to you talk about your presidential pick.
Right. And they didn't
know.
they're like, oh, he's for Trump? Nope, we're disconnecting his service.
Right.
Oh, he likes Biden? No, we're disconnecting his service.
Which wouldn't be a problem if you had a bunch to pick from. If you had more than, say, one phone company, which we had for a very long time, then that wouldn't be such a problem. You go, oh, you're bigoted. Okay, well, I'm going to go to a phone company that actually works.
Who's your phone company? Ma Trump? It's like being in T-Mobile's top 5. Remember that? You can only call other Trump supporters.
Oh, yeah, they used to have, like, your circle of 5, I think is what they called it. Yeah.
You can only talk to those people now.
Ironically, an original selling point of Section 230 was to prevent censorship by creating a safe harbor so companies could let people express themselves online, and that's how Section 230 worked for the first 20 years. On the understanding that active censorship would convert an online platform into a publisher with the same liability exposure as, say, a newspaper. What a novel idea. 855-450-3733. Should social media be treated as publishers? More Free Talk Live coming up.
Bags under the eyes, crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles are things adults complain about as they age. Now, there's Instantly Ageless. It works in minutes and is great for men and women. Here's Dr. Sonia Bacha on The Doctors.
So this is a product we're going to see if it works. It's called Instantly Ageless. And the idea is that it works very quickly, is you just need a very small amount, and then you apply it to areas where you might be a little bit puffy. I have just looked at what's in this product, and one of them is something called argireline, which is sort of a darling in dermatology right now. It's a peptide or a protein that actually relaxes the muscle. It's also called Botox in a bottle. The other active ingredient in this is silicates, which are almost act like a clay. They're minerals, and they're making the skin sort of tighter. It's actually increasing the surface tension on the skin to push that herniated fat pad back.
Try Instantly Ageless today at GCNlife.com. That's GCNlife.com. 30-day money-back guarantee and preferred price discount at GCNlife.com.
Are you curious about what might be missing from your diet and supplement choices? Take a free health assessment to identify your possible nutrient deficiencies. As a certified holistic health coach, I will help you assess and prioritize a supplement program based on Dr. Wallach's recommendations. Call Linda at 833-VITAL-90. That number to call is 833-848-2590. That's 833-VITAL-90.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, the Mineral Doctor. You've heard me talk about 90 for Life for years. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. You may not know this, that I've actually designed Arthrodex for animals. That's right. Your pets need 90 for Life too. Get this essential pet product by calling 877-279-9422. That's 877-279-9422. Again, 877-279-9422.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it is Free Talk Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. No, it's not the WWE.
Darn.
Or the WWF. It's not the World Wildlife Foundation. It is Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-3733. If you call now, we might have time to get you on the air here in this final segment. In the studio, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Pigless Mountaineer.
And Richie Rich.
And I just want to take a minute. I'm going to take a minute.
Take 5 minutes.
I would like to take a moment and say thank you to Lonnie Gopal. Lonnie Gopal is a platinum level amplifier of Free Talk Live. What is an amplifier, you might ask, and ask you might. You can find out over at amp.freetalklive.com. We have different levels. We only ask for $5, so you can give more if you want. Different levels will give you slightly different little perks. But you can sponsor the show and help us get on more radio stations than we're currently on. We're on something like 190 radio stations right now. We could be on 200. We could be on 250, maybe even 300. It's all up to you. The money goes
all the stations.
The money goes exclusively to get us on more radio shows. So, Richie Rich isn't putting it in his pocket. Peakless Mountaineer isn't using it for, climbing gear. and I'm not using it to further my many names. It is going directly to get
More
us
lordships.
to get us on.
Can I get a dukedom?
Radio stations.
Where's my duchy?
The Duke Peakless Mountaineer. We've been
High Bishop.
Well, it depends on the amount of marijuana you intake. The High Bishop.
Well,
Also, he could hang out with the High Priest.
Depending on that, I might lose the ability to count.
Hindering your dukeship?
Yeah. Yeah. Count, Duke.
Nope.
We've been talking about this article from Mises.org that poses the question, how to limit social media's power without growing government. And the article continues and says, ironically, the selling point of Section 230 was to prevent censorship. But from a business perspective, this platform publisher distinction was existential for social media companies because liability exposure would mean either ruinous lawsuits for crazy things users say, or it would require an army of content monitoring lawyers to meticulously pre-approve the 500 million tweets per day that are sent on Twitter. This meant up until 2016 that social media companies were very careful to maintain a hands-off policy, allowing essentially all legal speech so that they wouldn't lose that shield.
Until recently.
Yeah, which was great.
Wait, so a corporation has a special kind of legal shield given to it by the government? Well, that couldn't possibly end poorly.
Right. This started changing around 2016 as progressive pressure was brought against social media companies for the sin of giving voice to conservatives during the Brexit referendum, followed soon after by Donald Trump's election victory. Meanwhile, individual judges increasingly interpreted 230 more broadly as permitting censorship at will. In fact, European regulators actually started requiring censorship for any speech individual regulators personally regarded as too right-wing. This, unfortunately, built a broad censorship capability in social media companies.
So the people on the alt-right were correct. This is definitely right-wing censorship.
Well, I haven't heard of anyone calling for, oh, nope, that's too far left. That's too far left. That's straight up Marxism. You can't be allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, it does seem to flow more in one direction than any other direction from my experience. Anyway, I do indeed seeing things happen on social media like the Ministry of Truth. The Facebook fact checkers. Same thing, right? It's
Those are ridiculous.
Different title. And it's to a point now where they just speak in vagaries, right?
They take it down to semantics as opposed to the actual content of the message.
Yeah, they say things like...
Are you following the community guidelines of Minitrue?
No, I'm not. They say things like, there may be some context missing. And now it's false. It's false because there may be some context missing. No, it's just that they can't say we looked at it and we didn't find anything wrong. They can't say that for some reason.
Depends on the definition of what the word is means.
Or context, I guess, in this matter. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Robert in South Carolina calling. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to point out you were getting to something, but I don't think you finished up that topic. When you have very powerful people, very powerful organizations like Microsoft and Twitter and Facebook and
Google and Amazon and Apple.
Yeah, and Apple, exactly. And they're very powerful organizations because there are only about 4 or 5 of them that control basically everything that goes over the internet in terms of social communications. So they should get together and make sure that stays under control and they don't overstep their own bounds. The same thing with the power companies and with the phone company AT&T back at the beginning. Of course, AT&T realized, and AT&T, I remember those days, AT&T was a very, very, very cooperative organization because the last thing that they wanted was too much government around their neck. And they were smart enough to realize that the best way to get the government around your neck is allow all hell to break loose, and then the government will have to come in. But that's why they never allowed that. They were always very, very kind. AT&T, if you had a dispute with them with finances or the phone bill or something like that, they would always take care of that.
Do you remember before that, though, Robert? Do you remember Bell?
I remember Bell very clearly at the beginning. In the old days, absolutely.
It was a complete monopoly. You only had one choice of phone provider. You went to the phone company. There was
Right.
no other company to go to. And what happened when Bell broke up?
Well, was forced to break up
Correct.
by the government.
Right. What happened when they broke up?
Well, it didn't happen really quickly. What happened was there was one company that operated one phone line between New York City and Chicago, Illinois, and then of course they expanded from there. But it took a while. But what happened was they got challenged in court, and it caused the breakup of AT&T, and it was a big famous case.
What happened as a result of the breakup is what I'm getting at. I'll just go ahead and tell you. What happened is more companies formed, and it created competition. And this competition led to, as it always does, innovation, right? From that innovation, we got things like the internet.
Options give us
cell
better
phones.
service.
Wait, okay, hold on a second then. Are you saying that it's good when governments break up monopolies?
I'm saying it's good when monopolies are not allowed to continue.
Okay.
Well, and here's the thing. All of these monopolies form because of the unimaginable regulations that the government puts on telecommunications companies so that we can't form functional telecommunications companies in the first place. And whether it's Twitter or whether it's AT&T or Ma Bell, having that much regulation on entry means that we don't have options, so we can't get to the point where we have a functional system.
Right.
Well, and in the case of at least Facebook and Twitter, there is an abundance of competition available. Just no one wants to use it because it's not as good yet.
Right. Anybody can put up a website and call it whatever they want to call it, a social media company. You have to have the backbone behind it, and then you have to attract all of the users, arguably, or at least a large quantity of them, or large enough quantity to make it go.
And I don't fault Facebook and Twitter because their competition can't attract those users.
Well, I always find that when you dig into those things, there are some really shady sources of a lot of the resources that these companies have used to become a dominant market force.
Yes. So having said all that, Robert, go ahead and finish your thought. I don't think you got your thought out.
Yes, the rest of my thought was that you're not completely right about AT&T. They did have a lot of innovation, and they dedicated a lot of their money toward innovation as well. I remember when I was in the kindergarten, and that was a long, long time ago, AT&T came over to our little kindergarten in Greenwood Lake, New York, and brought us one of the first demonstrators for light communication over light. I remember the man put his hand between the two boxes that he had, and when he put his hand in the light, the communication stopped immediately, which means that it was actually going over the light. And that was and they had money to invest for research and development, and they used it for that purpose. And they had plenty of other money for other purposes as well. There was cronyism, no question about it. In the old days, if you would belong to a certain ethnic group, you could always get a job at the phone company if you didn't have one. And I remember in New York City back in the old days, if you belonged to another ethnic group, you could always get a job as a teacher. There was cronyism back in the old days, but on the other hand, there was money for investment because they had an overflow of cash.
Well, yeah, they were a monopoly. They had no competition, so of course.
Yeah, and that's right. That's the bright side of the darker side. The darker side is what we just spoke about. But there was when you have an oversupply of cash, there is money that goes into innovation. Maybe not as much, but the socialist societies, which is basically what that is.
All right,
but there's also a whole lot of money that goes into lobbyists that doesn't go into innovation.
And I would rather open up competition for monopolies rather than break them up by government decree.
I would too. We're out of time for tonight. Thanks, everybody. You can find more at freetalklive.com. Peace.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Bitcoin tops 13,000 and breaks its own record for consecutive days above 10,000. Satoshi Nakamoto, if alive, enters the top 200 world's wealthiest people. DC International Monetary Fund Manager warns of major financial reset imminent. PayPal begins selling and accepting Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes mainstream. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin